Last week we talked about the spirituality of marriage. I think we traveled from the scriptures.
Yeah.
From the days of the garden, which we talked about spirituality of the garden, meaning the presence of God, to how Adam, Eve, and the rest of them came into existence.
The spirituality of marriage.
The spirituality of marriage, the fundamental principles that God wanted us to do, the essence of whatever that came up, how man failed in his frailty, God's mandate and principles that were not obeyed, which the enemy in his own, very subtle nature manipulated the woman because of lack of information. The man that had the information strayed away because he was carried away by pomp and pageantries. He did not stand on the principles of God's word, dined and strayed on the woman's own words and was punished for it. And we saw how suffering came to humanity and so on and so forth. So that is like recapping what we did last week. Okay, for want of time, what I'm going to do today, because I know somebody may be hearing me out there, and said, he doesn't even know what we go through. Yeah, okay, I quite appreciate that a lot of families are going through trials. Okay, we talked about the spirituality of marriage, so it's so important for us to begin to bring closer these trials. Okay, people are losing things. Yes, you told us on entrepreneurship, they will tell me about the difference between the poor, the rich, and the wealthy. I told you that the poor just want, they need, the first time they see you, money. I told you the rich is accumulating. Just store it there. I used the hypothetical scenario where I said a cow, the poor wants to eat it.
Yeah.
The rich wants to gather it and tell you, I have 1,000 cows. This, and he boasts, in fact, in his community, he will boast with it. Give me a chieftaincy title for 30 cows and 50 cows I have. No innovation, no thinking. But the difference between the poor, the rich, and the wealthy is that the same cow that the poor ate, the rich gathered. The wealthy will turn it into hairs and skin and make a bag out of the cow, got a milk out of it, and sell back to the rich who will distribute to the poor. So it's all about ideas. And I told you that I said ideas rule the world.
Even
the great
bones.
men, yes, the bones, and turn it into ideas. And in different sectors of life. And we also saw in the Bible, which we read, how God gave man things to survive. I'm recapping a few things we've done last week and last 2 weeks. How he gave man agriculture, if you remember, gave man water, gave man onyx, which has to do with oils, raisins, and he gave him the gold and gave him the diamonds. And I told you how these things are very effective to us. God didn't give us awful trees, but he hid it in agriculture, in the plants. It is now your ideas and innovation that will turn that tree for a wealthy man into the upholsteries and the rest of them. But the poor man will eat the tree and eat both the seeds and the fruits and ends it there, because everything about them is eat, grab. The rich man will tell you how many trees I have, but the wealthy man is thinking of how to turn it. Okay, this other one will look at things and how. So we've passed through that. But how about when the vicissitudes of life hit these people? One thing about sufferings and pains and sicknesses is that they don't have choices of whom to hit and at every time. Somebody was telling me that, do you observe that when there is a plane crash, both those who are sitting in first class, business class, and economy, death and pains does not select whom to kill first. They all die at the same time. How about when vicissitudes of life, challenges of life comes to these people? The difference between me and you in suffering, everybody goes through this suffering, but the difference between us is our responses. The difference between us is how we respond to issues. It's not that there is one, anybody has a monopoly of disease or is exempted or have exclusive nature of sickness or disease. It's our responses. How are these things hitting you? How you respond? There are people, little things that comes on them. The whole world will hear that, oh God, I'm dying. I do tell people in church when I'm, privileged to talk to different organizations that invite me, I say, look at your neighbor and tell them you can't handle my story. There are people you can't handle their story. The father, you see them every day. Just like we talked last week about aprons. When man failed, they began to produce aprons. A lot of people are on their different aprons. Now, the fact that you've not been able to handle my apron, you don't know what I'm covering, you don't know the pains. People go through all kinds of frustration, exasperation, despondency, and despair. All right? And in the midst of all these things, they still move on with it. All right? And there are people that little things. I've had cases of people telling you, I've had cases of people telling you and say, look, you've not been able to see my mom or my dad who has been there. And the person he was talking to, I remember when my mom was, when she passed on, I got somebody who said, man of God, you got to be praying for me. You got to be praying for me for what I'm going through.
True.
I said, what are you actually going through? He said, my mom has been having malaria and typhoid. And I'm like, oh, really? But at that point, you wouldn't know my own mom was going through life support, because praying for her and so many things. So most people won't tell you their stories.
Their own stories.
Okay? But that's partly why I want to bring in this gentleman they call Job.
All right.
Whenever you hear Job, what is it that goes through your mind?
Suffering.
And sometimes people tell you, I have suffered worse than Job. He's a family man. That's why I took him as a particular scenario. I took him because, one, he suffered. Two, a wealthy man. Three, a man the Bible describes as a man of integrity. Why do people associate holiness with poverty? When a man goes through righteousness and integrity, people tend to believe it's because he's going to be a poor. That's why you're doing this. That's not true. So we're going to look at the scriptures and look at it. But before we go to Job's scripture, let's look at the book of 1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 12. 1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 12. It's going to help us.
1 Peter?
1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 12. All right, 1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 12. Let's see how much that's going to help us. 1 Peter, chapter 4, verse 12. I want us to look at sufferings and trials on a perspective, on a level. I don't know who is listening to me out there that is going through something. You're just going through something you can explain, all right? That's why we're here for you, within the limited time we have, to see how far we can help you. 1 Peter, chapter 4.
1 Peter?
Yes.
4:12.
Yes.
Dear friends,
do
not be surprised.
Don't find it strange. That's what King James Version is saying. Do not consider it strange.
At the fiery ordeal.
At the trials that you are going through. It calls it fiery ordeals. Do not find it strange. Dear friend, do not find it strange. As the fiery ordeals you are going through.
That has come on you.
That came on you.
To test you.
To test you.
As though something strange were happening to you.
Sometimes you feel that the whole world is collapsing on you. This is where you get it. Your approach to these things when they come. See, they come. That's why we call them vicissitudes of life. I mean, you just got to the hospitals. They carried out what we call comprehensive check on you. In America, when they say, please, you need to come back and see the doctor, people will start crying already. Because usually when they do this, they tell them that's fine and send a letter. That's okay. But when they say, please, you need to come in and do further check. Something else is going on. Yeah. How about the situation where the doctor now said, I think we need to carry further test. And they carry further test and he now said, I don't know how I'm going to break this from you, but you need to get your relatives or get your wife with you. It happens. Yeah. All right. So when this thing happened, okay, your case might not be sickness, because Job's own, when we get into it, divided into two. I'll tell you how poor men handle situation, and I'll tell you how wealthy men, because it's part of what we're talking about. Okay. All right, in this case, he said, do not find it strange.
It's not strange.
Concerning the fiery trial. I might be talking to a woman that has not conceived now for several years, even though technology is helping you. No. We live in a wonderful era, in a wonderful age. Those days somebody will tell you, I've been there for more than several years. But you have the IVF, you have the ICSI. Technology is amazing. You have several platforms you can use to help yourself. True. To get, not just in children, in health. Those people will tell you those days, I've been on a wheelchair because of my knee. Today we have new replacement surgery that could come. All right, and so many things. Day. Yes, micro-manipulator machines that could help you even in seed selection among women. God is a marvelous God. And those who say science, is God who's giving that wisdom. Yeah. Knowledge and understanding which comes to those things we are talking about to be able to go through this. So don't find it strange when trials of life comes, as if this my own problem or whatever you call it is coming from UFO or from whichever strange planet. These things happen. I want us to clear that. Now, so here is the gentleman in the book of Job. We're going to concentrate now on Job, all right? Okay. King James may have good news, may have anyone you have. All right. So Job said something in Job 23. We'll come back to 1, but let's start from 23. How he solved his own problem. He envisaged this problem even before they started coming. How do you see this problem? We're going to look at Job's friends. The kind of friends you keep, okay? I hope time is going to be there to put all these things in perspective. Because most of us are destroyed by bad friends. Who come in with all kinds of ideologies when problems start happening. Either it's from our village, either you will see the behaviors of Job's friends, okay? 3 of them and what they played. So in 23 of Job from verse 7, what happened?
There, the upright can establish their innocence before him.
All right.
And there I will be delivered forever from my judge.
Okay.
8. But if I go to the east, he is not there. If I go to the west,
there are some time I can't find God.
It's not finding.
My prayers, I don't even understand what. It's not that I'm not praying, but it's still there. I've stopped going to church because I prayed over this thing for a while. That's the situation of Job. I may be talking to somebody who said, you don't know how much I've gone through this. There's something about going through this frustration, exasperation, desperation, despondency, despair for a long time. It's not that you're not fasting. It's not that you're not, doing whatever some people, they take them through a kind of things. You bring this, so this thing is going to happen. They leave the church entirely, go to the herbalist or go to the voodooist. You tell them, go to the center of the road. In fact, go look for a madman to slap you. This sickness will go. Several madmen have slapped you, slapped senses out of you. Nothing is happening. At that point, Job said, I've gone forward.
Yeah.
It didn't work. I did what?
I went to the south. I went to the west. I could not find him.
I could not find him.
When he is at work in the north, I do not see him.
I do not see him.
When he turns to the south, I catch no glimpse
there
of him.
There are some time. I find myself in that situation. He's saying, okay, read further.
10 says, but he knows the way that I take.
The most interesting aspect of me is that he knows the way I take. Aren't you glad that whatever be the situation, you have a perfect master that is pulling strings, who sees the end? I read a scripture recently that said, in the book of Romans, we don't have an high priest who cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities. I don't want, as much as I want to hear from you, I don't want to hear from a preacher who has not been through sufferings. A friend of mine said when he lost a wife, somebody came there holding the wife at the neck and, almost kissing the wife before him. This is the wife that he just lost, who was barely 29 years. And I was telling him, why are you crying? Are you not a man of God? When we get into the life of the friends of Job, how we spiritualize problems and sufferings of people. He said, don't you see, Jeremiah said, Ezekiel said this and that. And he said and why this man was quoting, he was seeing him holding the wife so close. And it was about asking him, have you lost your wife before? Have you ever been through the kind of pain I've been through? Have you gone to bed without seeing anybody to talk to? He knows me. Aren't you glad we worship a God that understands me? That's what he's talking about there.
He knows the way
He knows the way I go. Okay, go ahead.
When he has tested me.
When he has tested me. So Job is seeing what he's going to go through as a test. Yeah. It's like a long tunnel. But he's very confident that this test is going to end in testimony. When you have that mind perspective, you're not going to fall prey to this person said, that person said. You now tell yourself the time limit of this test is what I'm waiting for. But I know this is a long tunnel that is going to end in light. That's the point we want to make there. Okay.
When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold.
Gold go through what we call fractional distillation. And if you know about science of gold, you know it's fire. Yeah. It goes through one modulation of fire to the other. And fire is not a sweet thing.
No.
It has to melt in the ore and begin to segment them into all that it's supposed to do. What you see as shining gold didn't come that way. Yeah. So somebody might be going through his fractional distillation now. He's not working well around you. Everything. So what happened to Job? Let's go to Job.
11.
Let's go to Job in chapter 1. Because we want to establish the fact that he has seen it as a test.
He has seen the end.
What is happening in your family is a test. All right. So you got to understand it that way. Chapter 1 of Job. Yes. Verse 3. How Job was described.
Okay.
Yes. Job chapter 1 verse 3.
1:3 says, his substance also was 7,000 sheep.
You see, a wealthy man. He had multiplicities of. I just want us to keep that part, that both the big, the rich, everybody goes through challenges and vicissitudes of life. Right? Okay, come on.
He also had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500.
But can we take it from verse 1 so that we understand whom they are describing as who had all this? Okay.
There was a man.
In
the land of Uz.
In the land of Uz.
Whose name was Job.
Yes.
And that man was perfect.
The man, a good guy.
Perfect.
Yes.
And upright.
An upright guy.
And the one that feared God.
Who told everybody that has money is into rituals? Who told anybody that is just like any young lady you see riding a car, who knows the man that is behind it? You got to work on your mind. This is why when I was handling that script, this message of the mind, the body, and the soul, you notice that I say everybody has to pay attention. That this scripture I'm using now is going to revolve around so many things we're going to teach in this studio. We're coming back to it. Who told you anybody making progress is stealing? As soon as you see somebody ride a car, say, them. And you ask them, who are them? Don't you know them? Ritualists. Who told you it only takes ritual for people to be big? So all the billionaires in the world are ritualists. This is about innovative thinking. You're not thinking. And those who thought ahead of you will always rule you. Knowledge will always govern ignorance. That is the truth. And since you've refused to think, you will always serve the rich. So in that place, he described him as a good guy.
Yeah, one who feared God.
The one who feared God.
Eschewed evil.
He doesn't tolerate evil. So how can I associate him with God?
With ritualism.
Yes. Go ahead.
And there were born unto him 7 sons
He
and
had
3
kids.
daughters.
He had children. And if you check some of the verses we read here, when he led them to God and asked them to pray, peradventure they've offended God. A good guy. Yes.
His substance was also 7,000 sheep.
Now, you see, he had multiplicity. Remember when we talked about how God wanted us to be fruitful?
Yes.
And I told you that about
multiply.
fruitful is not children. It means productive.
No, he had the children too.
Multiplicity, replenish, dominate. It's playing back here now on entrepreneurship with us. Now go ahead.
And 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of
These
oxen.
things in our time has to do with trailers.
Yeah.
When you mention camels, they carry loads. That's trailer.
Yeah.
When you mention the other one, that's tankers. That's what they mean in our own time.
Okay.
A guy who has about 300 trailers is a big dude.
Of course.
All right? Go ahead.
And 500 she-asses and a very great household.
A very great household. Okay.
So that this man was the greatest of all men of the East.
Very wealthy guy. Put that in perspective, but keep reading.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting was gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning.
Remember I told you how he prayed for his kids. He had a total control of his family and his home. And I told you that the family is the oldest institution.
Yes.
That if the family is messed up, business is going to be messed up. So this guy is a very good example of how a wealthy man who wants to return his wealth should do. One of his sons is able enough to smoke something we talked last week and mess up the whole of this world. Yeah. So he put them into perspective, making sure that the steps of good men are ordered of the Lord by praying for them and the rest of them. Then what happened?
Offered offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
All right.
And 7 says, and the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth?
Do you know God boasts with us? Amazing nature of God. Boast with us. Have you considered my servant? But that's not the point we're making today. Go ahead.
That there is none like him in the earth. A perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil.
I want to hear the devil's response.
And then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught? Has not thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. One
of the things I told you about wealth is increase, multiplicity. Remember that? Yeah. Recreating. We're not going to go into details on how he recreated his stuff. I told you rich men don't, wealthy men do. Let's not forget that part. Okay, but the enemy's plan, there are 2 ways he came against this guy. We're going to go against his materials. Those cars, those buildings, these are the things I think. Okay, you made mistakes, Satan. Wealthy men are no much attached to their material stuff. They can always recreate it. I've told you that before. Yeah, rich men are. If what happens to Job has happened to a rich man, that's the end of him.
You won't be able to recreate
I told you that earlier. It won't even happen to a poor man. They don't have. So, but for a rich man, if it happens to them, they don't survive. That's why this guy lost his factory, had stroke and died. Not a wealthy man. Wealthy is not because of materials. This has to be cleared. Wealth of experience. All right? When I told you that God asked man, it's also about ideas. Be productive. Be innovative. That is create ideas. Men of ideas. There are people who have had testimonies of when Save a Life started. Fire inferno came, burnt out materials of over hundreds of millions. Some people say this is the end of this guy. No, not wealthy men. Push him out of that place, give him seconds, he recreates that thing, comes up with more. When we finish this, if not for time today, you see that all that Job lost, he had triple, quadruple of it, even better on what he had before. So what happened? The enemy said, you are wasting your time. I think it's those material. You got it wrong.
Yeah.
Wealthy men are not messed up by the material. That's why they're not moved. They're not carried away by the cars, they ride, the plane, they fly. These are not only real men. So what happened? The enemy took up on him.
It says, but put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will cast thee to
your face. Okay.
And the Lord said unto Satan,
you can go and do it.
Behold, all he had is
but don't touch his life.
Only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord.
And started dealing with this guy. We don't have time to start looking at how he struck the cars, struck the building, trailers. Went to the factory, set it on fire, and he made sure the news was coming to Job. All right? But as long as it was the materials, this guy was well grounded and prepared. It didn't move him. You must have to build your tripartite unit I talked about, your body, your soul, your spirit. How did they receive shock? Remember we talked about the mind, which is the information that comes from the body, the computer that stores it and interprets it. We talked about the will. We talked about the emotion. We talked about the spirit that gets something from the mind and gives it to the sense organs, which is the body. This guy was grounded. Look at from verse 20 to 22. His response to things that came on him and everything. All right.
Then Job arose and rent his mantle.
This is when already these things have scattered everywhere, burnt out his warehouses, everything he had, cars and everything. He looked at even the dress he had. He said, this one is inclusive. He didn't see it. He pulled it off. If you take my problem out of those things, this one is part of it. This is an expensive dress I'm wearing. He put it off and did what?
Job arose, rent his mantle, shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped.
And worshipped. Even if you are Satan, you'll be shocked yourself. I don't understand this guy. How is he wired?
What's going on?
What's going on with him? And you have to read it for verse 22 because it's important.
Then Job arose. Okay, this is 20. He rent his mantle, shaved his head, and worshipped.
Yes.
21 says, and said, naked I came from my mother's womb.
Yes.
And naked shall I return thither.
Yes.
The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away.
Verse 22 is very important.
Blessed be the name of the Lord. 22. In all this. Job sinned not.
He never faltered.
Nor charged God.
Now use this mouth. Not for a wealthy man. Not attached to material things. The thing. As Job was burning that hall, he was thinking about factory. As Job was burning the car, he was thinking about car law. Because he could recreate them. You don't know whom you are dealing with. So as he was busy hitting his materials, he said in his mind, put these 3 times together and I will have this. So where did the enemy hit Job? This is where we need to focus on. We need to get to chapter 2. He came back on him. Since I've tried on materials and it didn't work. I remember last week I said, guide your heart. Guide your heart. That's what the scripture told us. For out of it is what? The issues of life. And to guide it, what are you supposed to do? We talked about information, which is knowledge. Yeah. We talked about understanding, which is comprehension. We talked about wisdom, which is application. Does the devil have authority that people are ascribing to him? No, he doesn't. When he fell from heaven, he lost authority. But he has ability. We talked about exousia. We talked about dunamis. And I told you about ability, and we talked about authority. Unfortunately, today people are giving him authority that he doesn't have. He can kill. No, he messes you up to kill yourself, all right? You are the one that will kill yourself and accuse the devil because he's manipulative. The Bible calls him, it said, be wise as serpent, be intelligent. What is intelligent? Remember I told you knowledge is information. He came to the woman as God said. He wants information. And what do we say is information? Knowledge. As God said. He will come to Jesus later and said, if you are the Son of God, I'm not sure. He wants information. You are the one to tell him, this is what God said. Then he will go and comprehend it in understanding. Then he will apply attack in wisdom. He doesn't have them. You are the one to give. He probes your weaknesses. That's how he applies. That's how he applies. He probe and probe and probe until he gets your weakness. And that's why he goes about manipulating you. So in this part, none of the material things that were destroyed worked. He now came on the health of this man. Health is life. So what happened?
Where do I start from in 2?
Yes.
Where do I start from? 2.
Keep
1?
reading.
Okay.
2.
Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord.
Mm.
And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and
If
said,
you remember, this was similar to what happened.
the first time.
The enemy changed tactics. All right. I told you between the lions and the leopards, fighting between the lion and the kangaroos and the goats and the rest of fighting in the forest. The lions are complaining that the leopards that they eat and the rest of them are getting smaller. What are we going to feed on? The leopards are saying the lions are increasing. If we continue like this, they will finish us. And I say, who wins the battle? Who wins the battle is the one that changes strategy at the middle of the battle. For Satan, he came the first time and said, hit his material. It didn't work. He's a wealthy man. So he had to re-strategize. How do wealthy men re-strategize? Changing their mindset. You can't continue like this. The Bible said in the book of Romans, be that transformed by the renewal of your mind. It's all about your mind. You can't go above your thinking. You can't be thinking like a fool and be called a wise man. Even if you take the crown and put on the head of a fool, that will not make him a king. As long as you're in the circle of clowns, you can only form a circuit. I told you, if your circle is not changing you, you're in a cage. Get out of your mindset. That doesn't remove you as a bishop, pope, denomination abomination, charismatic or charismatic, orthodox or auto window, wherever you belong. Get out of your thinking. Where Job was hit was his mindset. The enemy said, okay, his problem is not material things. So what do? Come for his health. If I ask you, as a growing child, if they ask you, what is Job's problem? He said, Job, in your language, they say leprous Job. That was all we knew. In Igbo, they say benta, means leprosy. That was all people knew. So you think it was just leprosy that was Job's problem. You don't study your Bible. So the enemy came for Job.
Yeah. And he said, he's been going to and fro the earth. And the Lord said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? That there is none like him on the earth, perfect and upright.
Okay.
And then he has holded fast his integrity, although thou moved me against him to destroy him without cause.
Okay.
And Satan answered the Lord, and he said, Skin for skin. Yeah. All that a man hath, he will give.
Yes.
For his life.
For his life.
But put forth thy hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh. He will curse thee to thy face.
But I'm being frank to you. Even the enemy understands the efficacy, the potence of good health. And human beings are not. Your health can disorganize your wealth. He said the first time, I didn't know I chose the wrong one. All right? I chose car and everything. But give me another space. I know where to hit this guy and he will buy. Listen, take care of your health. Your health will navigate how far you're going to go with
your wealth.
With your wealth. With everything you think you have. I don't care whatever be the plan. I don't whatever be the political whatever. When it hits you, that's the end of the program. So what happened with Job? The enemy went forth.
Yeah. So Satan went from the presence of the Lord
and
smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot onto his crown.
All right, so the first thing people will say is that is a description of leprosy. So all that common man know is that Job had leprosy. But I'm going to take you because of time through the scripture to understand the sicknesses of Job, both the psychological and the emotional disease of Job that came on him. Chapter 2, verse 7 of Job. Everything is on Job. Let's have King James. Yes, let's have King James, please.
This is King James.
Please read.
So went Satan from the presence of the Lord and smote Job.
From verse 7.
And smote Job with sore boils.
So he had itching, open sores. That's the first one he had. Go ahead to verse 8.
And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal.
All right.
And he sat down among the ashes.
Okay.
And then he said unto
that is verse 8. Please stop at verse 8. All right. Chapter 7, verse 4. Second problem that Job had. 7, verse 4.
7, verse 4.
Yes. Second issue
Chapter
he had.
7.
Yes.
Okay.
Of Job. So that you see, he went beyond just leprosy. Okay. Right.
7:4 says, when I lie down, I say, when shall I arise?
Job started having insomnia. A lot of people are going through this today. I don't know. Sleep has run away from me. Sleep ran away. He said, when I lie down,
I say, when shall I arise?
Oh God, when will it be 6 o'clock? I can't sleep. Job went through insomnia.
I'm full of tossings to and fro.
That is insomnia. Look at that chapter 7 verse 5.
My flesh is clothed with worms.
He was scratching every skeleton, crackling and
clods
blistering of the
dust.
skin. Yes.
My skin is broken.
He had what some hospitals are asking, how is it going to be done? By the way, Dr. Civil Life Foundation once handled this, the ulcer. He had leg ulcer.
Leg ulcer.
Some people think it's elephantitis or whatever. Something like pores coming out of it. That's Job. Look at it there. He said,
my skin is broken.
My skin is broken.
And become loathsome.
So swollen. No wonder his wife. Anyway, we have not gotten there.
We have not gotten there.
Okay, so the chapter 7 verse 5, he had that ulcer of the leg, leg ulcer, which if it's in the village now, they said it's charm that he stepped on. A lot of ignorance. Okay, that's why I started by giving a little introduction to this. Look at chapter 16 verse 7. What else did Job go through? You need to research your Bible. 16 verse 7. What else did Job go through? Job 16:7.
But now, he had made me weary.
That is total exhaustion. Total exhaustion. Doctor, I don't get myself. I'm so weak. Maybe it started affecting his heart. I'm totally exhausted. That's to read it.
Thou hast made me desolate.
That has made me read it again. 16 verse 7. Read it again.
But now he had made me weary.
Weary. He became total exhaustion. Look at chapter 19. Verse 17. Because he stood there. What happened to Job again? Job 19. Verse 17.
17 says, my breath is strange to my wife.
He had putrid breath. What you call dirty mouth, smelly mouth. He now breathed, the wife will run away. Because I'm just trying to let you know beyond what you say. Job is leprosy. Imagine a man talks, the wife runs away. I said, please stay away. He went through it. Look at that same 19, verse 20. That same 19, 20.
My bone cleaveth to my skin.
Dirty teeth.
And to my flesh. And I am escaped with the skin of my teeth.
The teeth. He needed a dentist. None could come. Smelly mouth. He had it. Look at that same 90-20. Read it again.
My bone cleaveth to my skin.
When your bone cleaves to your skin, when people say, oh, you look like his bone, what is it called? Loss of weight. Started losing weight. When you are losing weight and your legs are swollen, I'm sure you are making the picture in your mind how Job was looking. So people who don't understand. Yes. Look at the 30 verse 17. Now because of that, and at his age, arthritis started setting in.
30 of where?
Verse 17.
17?
Yes.
30. Okay, 17:30 says?
No, 30:17.
Okay, 30:17.
Yes. 30:17.
30:17. My bones are pierced in me in the night season.
Pains. When somebody says my bones are pierced, that's how they say the whole thing will be right inside. From my marrow, they pain. Arthritic pain. And people like, somebody asked me, how do you find this in the Bible? Because you don't study it. That's what Job was going through. Pains. My bones pierce me. Every day they use hot water. As I'm talking to you now, there are people going through that. Pains. Job went through that. Look at this same chapter 30, verse 27.
30:27 says, my bowels boiled.
Diarrhea started.
And rested not.
Diarrhea started. My bowels boils. What's the meaning of that? Is it not diarrhea? Diarrhea started on the same Job. 30:30.
30:30 says, my skin is black upon me.
He used to be as fair as Annie. Before you know it, he started darkening.
And my bones are burned.
Do you know why he was darkening? Fever, high fever. Read it again.
Yeah. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat.
My bones are burned with what?
Heat.
When bones are burning with heat, what's the meaning?
Fever.
High fever.
It's got fever.
High fever. High fever that darkened Job. In fact, I could describe something I call 3D dimension disease. Yeah. Dermatitis of the skin. That is blackened, leathered, blistered, and cracked skin symptoms. Diarrhea, which you complained about uncontrolled here. That's a 3D I talked about.
Yeah.
Then dementia, which is the hallucination. which
And
we talked about.
insomnia.
Yes, insomnia. So these are the three-dimensional things that Job went through. And because of this, it started affecting him. That's why people begin to say demons are pursuing them and the rest of them because they are closely related. So look at Job chapter 3 verse 11.
Job 3:11.
They are closely connected. Psychological effects on him, sufferings, hurts, even more.
3:11. Why died I not from the womb?
Job began to have a wish to die. There are people you hear today, oh, they may I want to end it all.
Suicidal.
Somebody called in here last week and called the gentleman that was receiving call and said, tell him that I've tried severally to end it. I won't also forget, on a lighter note, somebody who said he wanted to end it and told them to give him sniper. They say sniper is now 28,000. He said, even to kill myself is not expensive.
It's okay, let me go home.
He went for rope. They said rope has increased. He said, even to kill myself is now become expensive. Job had a wish to die.
I died
And maybe
not
talking
from
to
the
somebody who is feeling, why am I even here? Like the children of Israel, you say, why didn't you die in Egypt? I don't know what I'm doing on this earth. One man, bullet does not kill, is a hopeless man who has nothing to live for. Psychology have already discovered that people who survive more in the hospital are those who have people around them asking them, how are you doing? But for those of them who ask them, wait until we get the life of the wife of Job. Why didn't I die? Am I talking to somebody today who is asking, why didn't I die? Why am I going through this? For Satan, when he attacked Christ and Adam, theirs was Eve. But in our time, it's why me? Why now? And why? That's always our case. Chapter 3, verse 25. The first one was, yes.
3:25 says, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me.
Fear. And I've explained this before.
Yeah.
Everything you fear,
Will come.
even though this came after his friends visited, which I'll explain later, this guy was full of fear. There are most people today, as I speak to them, fear has engulfed everything. Even fear to receive treatment. You are sick. Okay, somebody is out to help you. Now I will die. You're already wishing yourself dead. Then somebody is calling you to come and be helped. He said, no, if I go through that surgery, I will die. Because the mind has already been messed up. Chapter 6, verse 6 of Job. Chapter 6, yes, verse 6 of Job. Chapter 6, yes.
6:6 says,
Chapter 6.
Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt?
Do you know the meaning of that? He lost taste of life. You know, there are people that lost taste of life. Nothing around them has color or meaning again. He lost taste of life. Look at chapter 7, verse 8 to 9. The same Job. I want you to, because those who think the problem of Job is just leprosy, look at what he went through. Taste of life, he lost it. Some people don't go out. They don't have life. And this is at the point people say, let's get him a wife. A life partner. Somebody who doesn't have a life, that has lost taste of life, doesn't come out, doesn't attend any program, just sitting in, grumbling, in bitterness, burning the bones, in fire of fever. Chapter 7, verse 8 to 9.
7, 8 to 9 says, the eye of him that had seen me shall see me no more.
Oh, you see, this guy is no longer seeing vision or future. There are people like that.
Yeah.
Or they tell you,
can't
I told
see.
you a woman was looking up, said she's looking at a picture they will use during her funeral.
Yeah, you said, I remember.
How can you be alive and you're choosing picture people will use during
For
your
your
funeral?
funeral.
What is it? Utter fertility of life. Yes.
Thy eyes are upon me, and I am not. As the cloud is consumed and vanished away.
Look at chapter 7, verse 14. For this guy, he doesn't sleep in the night. And this is where the prophets take advantage of him. Without knowing the root where his problem is starting for chapter 7, verse 14.
Then thou scarest me with dreams.
When somebody is going through the things I mentioned about wish to die, having this haunting fear, no taste of life, why wouldn't you have a horrifying dream? So the first thing they ask you again, what is pursuing you in the dream? I think it's your father in the village. You don't know his history. You don't know that this is dementia, where this guy is coming from, because of the pain. There are things that draws people. The Bible says, cause death shall not come. So what happened in that verse 14? He said,
It says, thou scarest me with dreams.
You scare me with dream. What's the
and
meaning of it?
terrifiest me through
Nightmares.
visions.
Nightmare. Delusion by day. He said, thou
Nightmare
scared
at
me.
night
Yes.
and delusions during
Yes.
the day.
I don't think this guy's blood pressure will be the same.
Yeah, of course not.
I don't think so. This is what one man was going through. because he never put his mind together, because he was messed up. Most people don't understand this. So verse 16, he set into something. And what is that?
16 says, I loathe it, and I would not live always. Let me alone, for my days are
Job
vanity.
went into depression. A lot of people are depressed, and they're not even aware
That they're depressed.
that they're depressed. That guy went into depression. A lot of people are depressed. And somebody is telling you is this. We need to read. I wish I have time. I'll tell you about the three friends of Ian. When people try to spiritualize suffering, you don't even know where I'm coming from. You can't handle my story. You don't know what I've been through. Instead of you suggesting me ways out, you're telling me it's the tree I cut to my village. Telling me it's my father and man. You don't know the test I'm going through. But I know I'll come out of it. Just like I may be talking to somebody now. You're coming out of it. Job went into depression. Look at Job 10:1. What does depression lead somebody to? Anger, bitterness. That's why you look at some people. Have you ever, a motorcyclist was dropping somebody, a man with a brand new car, come back and say, if you park that car, I will kill you. Use this knife 70 times. I say, somebody will just wait to use knife and stab him 70. That's a level of animosity, anger. Have you ever mentioned any government official and see the way people react? Everybody is looking for where to detox. You see a motorcyclist telling a vehicle, if you come near me, I tear you. Just stop your vehicle, he will run away. All he wanted to do is to detox. Because there's anger, there is animosity, there is bitterness, which the Bible says defile.
Yeah.
Defile doesn't mean like a moral defilement. It's just like your immune system. It breaks down your immune system, so you are susceptible to diseases and pains and sorrows. Look at verse 1 of Job.
My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul.
You see that? Bitterness of soul. What is it called? Bitterness of soul.
Depression.
Bitterness of soul. That's what it talks about there. Bitterness of soul. Look at 17 verse 1.
17:1.
Bitterness of soul. 17:1 of Job.
My breath is corrupt. My days are extinct.
Broken spirit.
And the graves are ready for me.
Broken spirit. Imagine somebody telling you the graves. Not the throne, but the graves are ready for him. This is what happens to a man who has been through things. So he lost all. All right? In every situation. What was the role of the wife? Job chapter 2 verse 9. Kai, I wish we have time. But Job chapter 2 verse 9. What was the role of the wife?
Job 2:9
Yes.
says here. And then the wife said unto him, Dost thou still retain thy integrity?
At this point, it's a problem of integrity. Are you still going to return it?
Are you still going to hold on to it?
And what happened?
Curse God and die.
The part I don't understand is the part of cursing God. Why not ask him to quietly die? You know, when you're in a situation, you're susceptible to so many advisors.
Curse him so that he can
Yes. Why are you taking this to the hospital? Why are you going to do this and that? Curse God and die. And in that place, he said, curse God and die. What has God got to do with this? That's the pain of a tortured mind. It's often worse than death. That's the point he's making there. All right. So in chapter 2, verse 9, the wife did not see the big picture. He didn't see the big picture. The big picture is what I always tell people of very little mind. All right? So there are some times in our life we think that when God does not make sense. He was in a very hurry to conclude. That's why he said, but come to think of it, I want to play, they say, the devil's workshop. Have you ever been taking care of the sick before?
Yeah.
You can blame this woman, and that's why I talked about the big picture. Did you hear all the sicknesses I mentioned, both emotional and diarrhea? It was this woman that was cleaning the diarrhea. It was this woman that was good. A friend of mine was saying before the husband passed on, you know, this ministry, this foundation I've been talking about, taking care of their health. He said the husband had diabetes. From diabetes, he had stroke. But this is a guy who dresses well. He said one of the days that he was coming to clean the husband, he was walking in with the kids, didn't know that the guy has already messed himself up. So with stool all over his body, he looked at the wife because he couldn't raise his hands in stroke and said, honey, I can't continue this. You know I'm a guy man. I'm going. That's that part. This is a guy that people used to know for his fashion style and sense. Now stooling on himself. And the kids will say, Dad, don't mind. We'll be cleaning you. Say, for how long? And he later left. He went. Now, there are situations like that. If you have not been taking care of the sick, you will not understand the wife of Job.
Where the wife is coming from.
You will say, oh, wife of Job, terrible woman, because you are there. They say that the person taking care of the sick is worse than the person that is sick. Because that's the person the sick detoxes on. That's why sickness is a terrible thing. That's why the enemy said, I will hit him this time and see his reaction.
Flesh for flesh.
Flesh for flesh. Take care of your health. When the enemy hits you, he disorganizes it. When the Bible says when the shepherd is strong, the flock will scatter, it's your health. The shepherd being strong is not your car. I was on my way from Port Harcourt to Owerri some time ago. I had an accident along Airport Road. It was so bad that one of my assistants got hurt. They took him then to the hospital and the rest of them. I told them, leave that car there. Whoever wants it to come and pick the parts. They carried it from the mechanic. I said, take the remaining parts, sell it off and give to the poor. I don't want to see it again. But can you leave someone by the side of the road?
No.
You can leave the car. I told you about how houses burned. Yeah. People move on. Know your health. This is one area the enemy will disorganize you. So while you are planning to build your factory, build your dynasty, build your political career, how about your health? This is why the Lord said, guide your heart. He defeats you in your mind before defeating your body. That's exactly what happened here. So the wife, to an extent, you can't blame her. There are women going through things. They are with their husbands. Because when you really have that love, when a man is hit, the woman is also hit. Yeah. She's the one cleaning the urine. She's the one going to the hospital. She's the one hearing. When the man said, I'm not sleeping, remember he said, my breath.
She's the one that will be there.
She said, my breath became strange. Yeah, who was perceiving those putrid smell? Is still the wife. So he's to dismiss her. Terrible woman. She said this thing. She said, for that woman, where is your God? I read a book, When God Does Not Make Sense. Where is your God? And we are going through this. Because everything I know about you is going down. Why are you retaining your integrity? That means Job, in the midst of all this, retained his integrity. Even the friends of Job, when you're ready for calls, let me know. Even the friends of Job, that's why I say it's a long message.
It is a long message. But I just wanted to find out something real quickly here. Is there any succor in all of this? Because, I mean, it seems as if we're going through all these pains and trials and tribulations, as people who are listening to you now, I mean, the
solution came after his friend disappointed. That's why it's a long message you pick. When he cleared himself of bitterness, because he later went into bitterness, later went into anger. But if you check it very well from all the goes and down of his friends, one, knowledge came back when he forgave his friends.
Okay.
These ones came as if they were coming for him, coming to be with him. But they were not good friends, even though people say they came. They actually came. May God give you the blessings of
good friends.
Good friends. I told you that a good friend is an extension of yourself, without which you are not complete. Who is the friend that will look at you? A friend of mine called me in from Abuja and said the husband just collapsed in the bedroom. That the sisters gathered and said they should start sprinkling oil. I said, do you have any place close to you in Abuja? He mentioned one hospital. I said, can you pick? He said, my sister-in-law. I said, first, it's your husband before the sister-in-law. Force your husband now. Move to the hospital. I may not be in a very good page with the sister-in-law at that point.
Yeah.
But do you know the hospital said, if you have not brought that guy within 5 minutes, that he would have died.
Him.
At that point, even though he didn't know when they picked him up, as this was happening, they've already rubbed oil on him. Those are still friends. Were they rubbing those oil for him to die?
No.
They were doing it with good intention, but out of ignorance.
Yes, to the best of their ability.
To the best of their ability. We will use the word ability, not authority, because they are not authorities in those fields. He called another friend who said, no, I believe in those things, in God, in spirituality, but at this point, get your drivers and rest of them, carry your husband to the nearby hospital. By the time he rushed in, they started, whatever they did, they started carrying all the processes and was able to revive the man. In fact, by 11 o'clock the next day, the man started asking, why am I here? They said, you were going to use the restroom, you slump. What are the, faces of your friends? What did they do to your sufferings, to your pains? The friends of Job, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, who came around. What are the works of your friends in your life? Are they the ones who protrude ignorance? Who tells you that, you see this leg ulcer, I am suspecting, they will give you reasons. When it happened to me, was the one that I'm competing this. The decisions we make in life, most people die not because of demons, bad decisions. And bad decisions most times come through bad friends who are around you. These ones are his real friends, so they came. If you read the Bible, which we have time, you see that they came there, they stayed with him they even fasted with him for 7 days. They now took their time and started blaming him. They tried to spiritualize the suffering. Why do we spiritualize ignorance? Things that we know we could have. If you don't have solution, shut up. They started spiritualizing it. You know this. You know why sometimes when we mention this thing in this studio, and we'll be saying it's because they don't understand the church thing or whatever thing. No, you don't spiritualize ignorance. All right? When you don't have the solution, shut up. Ask God for wisdom. We learned last week that if you lack wisdom, ask God that who give it liberally. They didn't do. His friend started. Eliphaz said, you have sinned. I am sure that this pain you're having in your tummy because of sin. Job replied, you have no help to me. In fact, in the book of Job 13:43, it says, you are physicians of no value. Your presence, I'm seeing it as, if I have time, I will show you that Job recovered when he prayed for them. Because they really provoked him. There are certain diseases that are there because of unforgiveness. Bitterness and unforgiveness can keep you a little further from the pains and the miseries that you are going through. I said I'm rushing this because if you finish it, the only time his relief came was when he prayed for these guys who were supposed to be there for him. Somebody like Bidar said, you are full of hot air. Job said, God is always my adversary. They made him to see that he's an enemy of God. Zophar said, you mock God. Job replied, you mock me. Eliphaz said, you are a fool. These are friends who originally came to
and helped him to fast.
To help his friends to fast. Job said, you are a miserable comforter. Whom do you have around you? A miserable comforter who tells you that I think this problem is that you don't want to obey. You know, some of them, they come to community. If you listen, that's the place I would take you. If I take you there, this thing would have gone. This your leg ulcer. You don't want to listen. He said, you're a miserable comforter. That's what he told that one. This other one said, Bildad, you shut up. Job said, you crush me with your words. Zophar said, you insult us. Job said, you listen, but you don't listen carefully. They're all in the scriptures. All right? This other one, Eliphaz said, you are wicked. That's in Job 22 verse 8. Job said, I will trust God. All right? Bildad said, you are a maggot. That was how that conversation ended, with an insult. And they left.
The maggot that was coming out from his legs.
It's just how he was described. If you read the book of 25 verse 6. That was our friend. There's a kind of conversations. Yes.
Him.
The three came to comfort Job. Instead, they aggravated his suffering and added his grief by spiritualizing his sufferings. How many of us spiritualize people's sufferings, but they don't bring solution? That's why he called them physicians of no value.
Of no value.
Physicians of no value.
All right, I just want to quickly let our listeners know that we'll take a few calls now. You can send in text messages so that I can attend to that too in between the calls. We'll see if we can do that real quickly so we can wrap up. We're already a little behind time. The numbers to dial to get in, of course, you can ask questions on this issue that we talked about this morning or any other one that you have listened to Barrister Austin Nadi on previously. 081 87 888 889. That's 081 87 888 889. And then 091 6000 8890. 091 6000 8890. For SMS and WhatsApp, the numbers are 091 6000 8898. That's 091 6000 8898. Hello, good morning. All right, call back if you can. I do hope that we're not having any issues with that connection there. Call back, please, if you can. Hello, good morning.
Annie, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name? Oh, dear. All right, if you're trying to get through and for any reasons you can't, maybe you would like to send an SMS. I can read that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Soro.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Port Harcourt, Rumukurushi.
All right, good to have you. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Please, calling in favor of my daughter. She's 1 year now. She can't read. he cannot wake up for bed and start on my sit down. So I've been taking her to so many places. I even received wrong advice, so some I did not do it. I just feel some people say I should wait on God. I'm fed up. I don't even know what to do with it. As I'm listening to you people now, I'm even depressed. But as I'm listening to this word this morning, I get relief. But I still need solution for her because she's giving me a sleepless night.
All right. A year now. She says a year her daughter can't seem to sit on her own. So
What I didn't hear from that place is that I took her for a proper medical evaluation to know what is actually the problem.
She just said she went to several places.
What I heard is several places by friends who are saying, giving her bad advice, which is what I'm talking about. These are the problems that the friends of Job created for him. And he later even prayed for them and God restored him. All right, so the prayer will be that God will surround us with. I told you that the books you read and the people you meet determine how far you're going to go with life. And that's very important.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Mr. Dan, calling from Port Harcourt.
Mr. Dan from Port Harcourt, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, yesterday. I love the message you brought this morning. In fact, most of the friends are very wicked and bad advice. But along the line too, we have some good friends. I found out that some friends can even lead you into problem, even when they know that you are in need of their help. You are in need very well when you are sick. That is most times you needed friends. That is the time you needed people around you to assist you with good advice. If they don't even have anything to do, at least a good contributions of advice and giving you hope is the best thing they can identify to you. Thank you so much, this one. I love the message.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your call. I'm still trying to see if I can get a few more before our time wraps up. Hello, good morning.
Annie, good morning.
Yes.
This is Kingsley calling from Oyibo.
Okay, Kingsley from Oyibo. Good to have you. Go ahead, Kingsley.
Yeah, the message this morning from our barrister is so wonderful and so touching. In fact, I've been a victim of such kind of issues. Why 2005 I was diagnosed with glaucoma after I went for operation, and I now find myself in a church where they ask me, not that they ask me to, but the preaching sometimes make us not to take our drugs. I didn't continue with the eye drop. I left it, and I was believing God as a child of God, and I know God can do it. But the truth is that along the line, I lost the sight because I left the eye drop, which my doctor told me that I should not, in any condition, drop the eye drop, that I will use it till I die. And when I was using the eye drop, I was seeing some improvement. But I left it because of some certain religions in some of the churches we find ourselves. So I want to encourage people that God still heals. Even the doctors, He's the one that gave them wisdom. So if we are sick, we should go to the hospital first. That is the primary place that we should go before you now seek the face of God. Even when you're going there, you're asking God to use those people to cure you. Even the mantra of doctors and God is the one that heals and they cure. But we are so ignorant of this generation. In fact, this generation is so ignorant of the truth and the reality of the Bible. May God continue to give our barrister more wisdom.
All right, then.
I also want to be part of his program. I'm a guidance counselor by profession. I want to be a volunteer in that program or the Thursday program that he normally has.
Okay.
Then,
all right.
Then, Annie, I'm the guy that won the money on Friday. I've not seen it too.
Which
Friday? The 6,005. Now, I answered the question on Friday now that you said I should send my account number.
I didn't see your account number. Please send it again. Maybe
Okay,
I
I'll
missed
forward
it.
it now.
Forward it, yes, please.
I'll
All right,
forward it.
and then Kingsley, you might just want to listen in because I noticed you spoke a couple of things about health challenges there. Dr. Richard Okoye is coming on after this program, and so the issues that's got to do with health, we can also have him say something on that. You might want to sit back after this conversation and wait for Dr. Richard Okoye to join us there. He'll also be able to sort out some of the health questions that are coming up. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good
What's your name?
morning.
Yes, please. What's
Good
your
morning.
yes? Good
My
morning,
name is Maria.
Maria. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Joe Port Harcourt. Good to have you. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I've been listening to the pastor on the radio, and I'm learning a lot from what he has said in regards to the temptations of Job. But my own kind of temptation comes in the form of marriage. Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead. In the form of marriage. Yes, we can hear you.
So I grew up in a religious family. I did well, or should I say I did my best. So, hello?
Please go ahead. We can hear you. We're with you.
Okay. So, in the extended family, I was like somebody that was being looked up to get the best out of life. But my marriage did not work out very well, and I came back to my father's house. So now, of all of this, I want to get a spiritual advice from the pastor how to still maintain my self-worth and my dignity, even though things did not turn out well for me the way I expected in marriage. That is where the area of my temptation is coming from, the depression, the loss of self-worth, and a whole lot going on in my mind. Thank you.
All right. Is this the first time you're listening to us?
Hello?
Is this the first time you're listening to us? Is this the first time you've joined the Wisdom Hour on Tuesday or Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It's our first time for listening. All right, just listen in.
If it's your first time, I don't know any part of marriage that we have not really delved into. Even how to do rebounds, which is what exactly she's asking of. When you fall, because people do. Failure is not an option, I agree. But behind every failure is a seed of success. Don't be afraid of taking risks. People fail. But when you see successful people, these are failures that didn't give up. Yeah. But before ever you think of bouncing back, learn why you failed the first time. I can't really go back. Maybe go back to some of our social media handles and listen to some of the things. Yes.
How can she find you on Facebook?
AUSTEN, Austin, NADI, Nadi. Go listen to some of the messages we've done on marriage and family. There are several points that could answer this question simply. Or perhaps join us in this masterclass that is coming up, because I'm really going to get back to some of these marriage issues which I've talked about on that Saturday.
Or Thursday. On
Thursday, by 4 p.m. you can come up. We are still not at the live program. We are not done with marriage yet.
Okay, so marriage is still on there. I think
that's 8 Uyo Street by Stadium Road.
You'll find that very beneficial. 38
Uyo
Street.
Still Life Auditorium, yeah.
On Thursdays by 4 p.m. I mean, we've done extensively issues on marriage, but like you mentioned, it is the oldest institution. So I can imagine since that time till now, what kind of problems will be emanating from that sort of union. The good thing is that there are solutions to that. You just need to plug yourself into one of those classes, either the masterclass, the family circle on Thursday, or you listen to us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Okay, so I'll take another call and then I will have to wrap this up here. Don't forget that you can also go on Facebook and search for Austin Nnadi, AUSTENNNADI, and read, watch back several other conversations we've had. It's all there. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, ma.
Yes, please, what's your name?
My name is Nimi, so I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Nimi, good to have you. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the aspect of friends.
Okay, go ahead. On friends.
I have a good friends, like friends that we've been together, also together. So after some time, I left and I decided to go outside to also. So my friends now, I had information that my friends have made money, so I have to call them to help me. After calling them to help me, none of them want to help me. Rather, my friends will say, "Guy, come, it's like this, so come. If you don't come, we'll not send you any money." So that is the issue I'm getting with my friends. I just need an advice from you.
I don't get it. You just want money? You don't want them to teach you how to get money?
I want them to teach me how to get money, but they actually say we are going to somewhere to make money. Unless you join us, we will not link it to you. They will make money.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure he's the first timer too. Yeah. I think he's scared of joining the fraternity. He's suspicious of the if you want to make money, there's nothing
about.
Yeah.
Why do we need to join and go somewhere?
Go somewhere before you make money and whatever. I
Something
understand
fishy about and that's why he's hesitant.
I don't know. Some of these programs we are doing, it seems because sometimes when people call it, they are all first timers. We've repeatedly talked about stages which we need to do, even if you don't have money. There are small scale stuff you need to do that will not lead you into the bigger ones. That's
why he needs to be at your masterclass.
Yes, the masterclass program on the 1st of June. If you have time, register. We're closing this week, but we still have 1 or 2 spaces if you can. I'm going to mention the number again, please. For those, we're only choosing 50 people. And I realize that most of you keep coming on this program for the first time. We've gone a long way. For 4 solid months, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've dived into a lot of places, from leadership to entrepreneurship, from family to marriage to love. It's been a whole lot that you need to be part of. So this Thursday again, we're going to be having a meeting by 4 p.m. at Save a Life Auditorium. But for the master class, it's going to be on the 1st of June. We're only selecting 50 people. If you want to be part of it or sponsor someone, when I mean they ask 5 people to join, register them. You can call 080-680-24271. All right, 080-680-24271. Let them know my family and I would like to be part of this. Or perhaps I'd like to be part of the Thursday program for seat reservation. We started with just about 3 or 4 people. Today, if we had to bring everybody who's been there, we're hitting hundreds.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Who come for the program. So it's something you need to, if you really want to be part of it.
Amazing stuff. All right, we've got to wrap up here and leave. But please make out time to listen to us again on Thursday, 9 a.m. The beauty about this is the continuation, the flow, so that you don't lose out on the trajectory where we're going to. So you can also grow in that stride. If for any reasons you missed any, the nice thing about it is that you can simply go on Facebook and search for Austin Nnadi, AUSTENNNADI, and catch up with some of the things that we've said. There's none of the issues that we've discussed here that is not necessary for a complete and total growth of man. I hope that you'll be able to make out time on Thursday to listen to us, or come on the Family Circle program, 4 p.m. at the Save a Life Auditorium, 38 Uyo Street off Stadium Road. And then again, we'll be back again next week, Tuesday. But it so far has been amazing. Now, I need to wrap up our conversation here, mention that in all of the suffering that Job was going through, he still had his anchor on God.
Yes. I told you there are several places I didn't touch here, but the later end of Job, God blessed, because certain processes had to happen. Forgiveness was there, all right? I mentioned it. He even forgave his friends. His mindset, all right, is very important. And the foundation he had, you need to build yourself. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he will grow. When he grows, he will not depart away from it. You can't get yourself growing, whether from friends' influence or another, in ignorance. Right? You need to build yourself on the solid word of God. I don't want to take our time, but a friend of mine that was going somewhere, who happens to be a senior police officer, he knows himself. You need to know yourself. Know his right. Though he was a mufti, saw a younger police officer who stopped us and we're acting around. That's the truth. Asking us to come out and the rest of them. He just gave me a sign. Don't ever mention me. Let me see how my younger officers work. If he didn't know himself, are we supposed to be there? When you call the most senior officer and identify him, they were all on the floor begging, even asking me to beg him. That is how a child of God is supposed to be. If you know your right, nobody tells you nonsense. Like that woman that said they told her to go to several places, to go and do this thing, something that you could have received a proper evaluation in the hospital and be fine. You are bathing from one river to the other, waking up in the night, carry carton, put at the center of the road, shave yourself into this, bring your hair, that, your nail, this and that. And at the end of it all, this is something that could have taken a day or two. And you are okay, fully okay. Like the gentleman said that he lost his sight because somebody deceived him. And at the end, they ran. They that deceive you, that's why I said, when they deceive you, they all run away. That is the truth about it. Bad friends, they are like shadow. You know,
when the sun comes,
they are there. When the sun disappears, they follow and disappear. So please, look at the end of it all. It's always rewarding. Job became far more better because than he was before. That is always the story of somebody who moved on the path of integrity, path of knowledge. Stop ascribing powers that doesn't belong to the devil.
To the devil. Thank you so much, Pastor Austin Nnadi. And you really did the best you can. Packing all of this that should take days, as a matter of fact. into these minutes, but it was as impactful as always. Thank you so much. Looking forward to Thursday.